If you've got a personal auto insurance question, you could talk to a cab driver, although the policies he recommends might include avoiding the interstate, beating traffic by taking the back roads, and only making left turns when absolutely necessary. Or you could talk to your local Geico agent, whose policy is to use their expertise to navigate your insurance, finding the best route to help you save money on insurance for your home, car, and more. And as an added bonus, you'll be able to avoid traffic jams and potholes entirely. To find a Geico agent near you, visit geico.com/local.
My goodness, I'm not even close to being done roll call here. Gorgeous Marie, how are you? Thanks for joining us, and we continue to scroll on down. Gorgeous Jenny, Todd Purdon, advocate for UFO disclosure, how are you? Awesome Arlene, and who else do we have here? Scroll. If I miss you, I apologize. Hey, Wes, how you doing? Double Tim, Enzo, gorgeous Steph Dickey, nice to have you all here. And Millennium, nice to see you. Linda, thank you so much for that awesome super chat. Love you, my dear. Thank you so much for your support over this year. Brown Dot Flop, how are you, man? Nice to have you here. And Spooky Morales and his trumpet are back. And who else do we have? Let's see here. Oh, my goodness. It's gorgeous Pam McSee. There she is, everyone. And scrolling on down. My goodness, I'm running out of time. I hate it when this happens. I really do. Vanner Smith, good to see you. We are 20 seconds away. Chrismo, Johnny Music, Ibarata, and who else we have? I'm starting to panic. 405er, nice to see you. And Blue Nosed Witch, nice to have you here. Thank you for joining us. As we continue on with roll call, we got 15 seconds. Ken, we got to go. Gorgeous Melissa Nicole, thank you for taking the time. And you know what? That's about it. Hey, Witchy, Triple Ack, nice to have you here. Eva. Rock and roll, people. Horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a great show for you tonight. Sebastien Martin is a Canadian entrepreneur who is also an experiencer of extraterrestrial contact. This phenomena eventually led Sebastien to leave the corporate world to find his own spiritual path, which has led him to meeting some very influential people revolved around remote viewing and the secret space program. How it all ties into what's going on today, this is what we are going to find out. My good man, Sebastien Martin. How you doing, my friend? Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you, Dave, and thank you for having me on your show again.
It's always a pleasure. And you know what? My whole goal this year, my friend, was to get over to Vancouver Island to actually spend some time with you, except during the summer we had the forest fires, got stuck up here, and then all of a sudden in the fall we get all the flooding in the lower mainland of British Columbia, shuts down the highways again. 2022 has to be our year.
And I'm sure it will be.
I hope so. I hope so. Because you are a guy, and you know, as we get on to the show, you are a guy who literally can make things happen.
Yeah, I guess I can in many ways. But, you know, I think what I found very interesting about this year is how transparent things seem to be happening, more to me and to others. Like, I think everybody today is kind of speaking their own truth in many ways, a bit more direct about how they feel. For me, my experience was 10 years ago when I had my encounter with SOR in my living room, and coming from the business world and to be, honest about my experience and sharing it to my family and my close friends. I have lost friends because of my experiences. They could not relate to what I've experienced. They believed at the time that I was crazy. Seeing an alien in your living room doesn't happen every day. But especially in my world, but business. And I'm seeing a lot of parallels with what's happening today in our society and around the world, where people are now awakening to their own truth and being honest with themselves. Good or bad, it doesn't really matter at the end. It's just a matter of being honest with what's going to happen in the future. At the end of the day, we're aligning ourselves with our true path of enlightenment that I believe is also in line with what I've envisioned many years ago through remote viewing and through my own experiences with aliens. And that's to do with the future races that we know of today. Like I'm talking about the Pleiadians and the Syrians and the Greys and all these different types of races that we know of today. And I also believe that those races are coming from Earth to begin with and will be existing down the line in the future. And since we don't live in a linear time, we're going to be seeing those beings coming back to Earth and witnessing where was the beginning of their races when they first started evolving to what they are today, or how they will be in the future. And I'm talking about maybe like 100,000 years from now. So this is a very interesting time, in my opinion, for living in this chaotic time where we are seeing a lot of insanity going on around the world and nonsense, to be honest. But at the same time, people are also awakening to their own selves. And that's super important to me because it doesn't really matter at the end how, negative the situations will be with people. Like if they feel that they have to erase some of their friends or close friends because of their belief systems, that's okay. At the end of the day, what's happening is if you are true to yourself and you can live with the close people that you have in your surroundings, then you're already becoming more honest and you are shedding away the hypocrisy that has been going on for many centuries, basically, with people. And now it's becoming clearer to me that the people are moving towards a path that will be more true to how the future was supposed to be designed. And I think it's an interesting path to me because 2 to 3 years ago, before COVID, I thought that I was not on the right timeline. I truly believe that there was something wrong with what we were experiencing at the time because I knew about my experiences from 10 years ago and I could not see how we could be as we are today, those races or those humans linked to these alien races in the future. I could not see the parallel. Now I do. Now I truly do. And I think it's definitely more transparent to me at this point.
What's funny is you and I started at the exact same time, or nearly the exact same time 10 years ago, because last week, a week ago tonight, was the first time that I had experienced anything supernatural when I saw the angel of death in my mother's eyes. And then it kicked off much like yours did, where it just took off like a shot in the dark, where you can't control it. All of a sudden you start getting hit with all of these little energetic waves and consciousness waves and psychic waves and, waves of aliens and ghosts and everything that goes along with the supernatural phenomena. I mean, how did you ever catch your breath with everything that was going on, Sebastien? I mean, let me add to that, because at that time, what a lot of people don't know, you were running a highly successful world business in the honey industry. You were someone who was very corporate. You were very much, living a very rich and high lifestyle that you had worked very hard for. And then all of a sudden, boom, you hit that brick wall of the supernatural.
Yeah, that's true. Well, like 10 years ago, I was not into the consciousness movement. I truly believe that, people who were speaking like the light language and were, channeling and all of these people, I really believe that they were, swimming with dolphins. They were not my type of people. I could not relate to any of these people. And I was just in the world of business. It was just about the money and trying to make, the next million. And it did hit me really, really hard overnight. And at the same time, I had 10 years of evolution with this. And it was a good thing for me because I had time to adapt to what we are living today. And it prepared me to live my truth and to be okay with it and not be living in fear. Because you have to realize that when I first had my encounters, many of the people who would have had those experiences would have been scared and like frightened to death, over time for the stuff I've gone through. But instead of living in fear, I decided to embrace it and trying to understand it. So using my rational mind to make sense of something that was not as rational, but at the same time, I was trying to put the pieces together to understand if that was fitting with my energy or my life. And it did, to the point that it led me to have beautiful experiences around the world and meeting great people. And to me, it's been an excellent journey and a very timely, because if I didn't have those experiences today, I would have been a very different man, for sure.
The money, the friendships, the family, the wedges that traveling down the path the phenomena takes us, and you're somebody who jumped right down the rabbit hole like I did. Would you change it? Would you go back to your old lifestyle, knowing what you didn't know? No, because through this experience, I have learned a great deal. I definitely feel more, open. I would have not have met the people like yourself in my path over the years, and I would have been a very different person. And I could have earned more money, maybe, I'm sure. But the fact is that at the same time, it happened when, at the time, my wife was becoming sick, or she was about to become sick. And when I saw the business in 2014, it was like 3 years after my encounters, and everything was almost designed to get there. And I was very surprised by the chronology of these events, because at the same time, I basically, like I said to you, I suffered from losing friends over my experiences. I ended up to be divorced, like basically over this time. But everything was good because, my wife at the time spoke her truth based on how I experienced mine and shared it with others. So it was not all bad. I'm glad that she followed that truth, and we are still friends today. We have great kids together, and it's been a wonderful journey. But I also believe it was meant to be. And so today I have no regrets. And no, I would not change my life or going back to where I was, because what I believe I was living at the time was more of a lie, because it was not true. It was just making the next dollar, and to what purpose? There was no real end goal. Money is not the end goal, and it won't make you happy forever. It's a means to an end. But the journey I've been on, and the stuff that I've discovered to do remote viewing and embracing my visions, opening up my mind to the multiverse, and seeing beyond this reality has really transformed my life for the better. And I'm still learning. Like, it's never ending. So I don't have those regrets, and I still have a great deal to learn. I feel very humbled by what I've experienced. I definitely don't feel like I would like to relieve some of the experiences I had,
but at the same time, I'm grateful for them.
See, I'm different than you. I would go back to my old life in a heartbeat.
Really?
My happily boring life. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the people from our audience. I love what we've created here with SOR. I love the fact that I've been fortunate enough to meet people like you and gain a ton of new friends that I never had. But that old lifestyle, being close to my family and being close to my friends and the core group that we had, it just, there was something very comforting about that. This has been very uncomfortable because you never know what's going to happen, and you never know where it's coming from. And part of my issue is with the phenomena, not the people, the phenomena is they seem to take a lot away, but they don't tell you what they're switching it with. Do you know what I'm saying?
So I know exactly what you mean. And I think that's what I've experienced is also the delusion of or being disillusioned by the consciousness movement itself for having so many false prophets, in the field that could really be extremely demeaning and make you look back to the old life, thinking, why have I, decided to embark onto this journey, knowing there are so many people who are in it for the ego and to make a quick buck on the gullibility of the people. And I think that's really wrong, but I've been always aware of that, so it never really affected me. And I always spoke my truth, and I never really cared about, fame or, fortune through this movement. It's never been my goal, so I don't care. For me, as long as the message was true and I was able to, communicate with some of the people who were interested in my journey and share theirs with me, I've learned a great deal from that. So I think, the old life was just more comfortable, like you said, but it doesn't mean that it was the
right path.
the best path. It was just the easiest one.
Very true, very true. Sebastien Martin is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio, and later on in the show we're going to get to some remote viewing after the break at the bottom of the hour. But for you, Sebastien, as you embark on this journey, you've seen it change quite a bit. I mean, it went from ET contact to learning that you could remote view and learning things that you didn't even know existed. Does anything surprise you anymore in this field?
Not really, no. I mean, it seems like all the hype behind the UFO disclosure and we're going to be learning about this, we're going to be, seeing some UFO footages and all of that to me is just, it's just entertainment. But the reality of it is still hidden from the public. And trying to have some of the information trickling down in the media once in a while has been keeping people on their toes, hoping for more news down the line. But I'm always afraid of, again, having that message transformed or used by our governments to deceive the people some more, trying to control the narrative for saying, now we kind of exhausted all of our, basically tools that we had to deceive you. We're going to be now reaching out to something else. And I think right now what I'm saying is all this disclosure or partial disclosure is actually designed to offload humanity to various planets, including Mars. I think that's going to be the next step. And as we're seeing today, the compliance that has been happening and the coercion that has been applied will be useful to the same people. Will be sending out a different message to say, now we need you to go to Mars because we can no longer stay on the planet. We already have seen, and you've seen it too, being in BC, that the heat wave that we had in June, killing off 700 people in a few days, has been one of those events triggered, most likely by HAARP. So have you noticed as well that during the summertime, we barely had any chemtrails in the sky? It was pretty bare and very hot, and we've seen major changes over time, like through, in various countries, and we can call it global warming and climate change. But at the same time, we know that the planet is cooling off every year. Like we already have we've lost like 1 degree Celsius in the last 100 years on the planet, because the Earth is currently moving away from the sun on a 26,000 year rotation. So we are going to be seeing some changes to do with the climate that we've impacted through pollution and so on. And that's going to be one of the excuses for the officials to tell us that, our lives will be better served on a different planet, and people will be more willing to go, because as more disclosure is happening online, people are going to be, more used to the news and to be more okay with that, to embrace a life somewhere else.
And that is a big subject right there, is whether or not we deserve this planet only to go ruin another one. I think that's the fear. You look, we're not even playing nicely in space with all the space junk that's up there and currently causing issues that we could barely get a rocket into space without potentially hitting something. There's a lot of ridiculous out there, Sebastien, when it comes to how we treat things, whether it's, the planet, the animals, people in general. We're not a kind species, that's for sure.
True, but at the same time, we're also an evolving species. And as we'll be seeing down the line, our species will be bound to branch out to more species, as evolution has already showed us in the past, like through various Homo, sapiens that we've seen. We've seen major changes from the Neanderthals to the Cro-Magnon to whatever. Like, we're going to be seeing major changes, and I think we are in that period right now where we're going to be seeing those major changes. So through now we have, the mRNA in the...
Hey, do you love a good story? Great. Then you got to check out the #Storytime podcast. Each episode brings you the craziest, creepiest, and cringiest stories from YouTube, TikTok, Reddit, and beyond.
My story is about the time that I was broken up with at the 9/11 memorial. Twice.
Look, the internet is a dumpster full of stories, and I, your host, Will McFadden, dive in headfirst, sift through the flaming trash, and bring you nothing but treasures. Listen to all 21 episodes of #Storytime now on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
If you've got a personal auto insurance question, you could talk to a cab driver, although the policies he recommends might include avoiding the interstate, beating traffic by taking the back roads, and only making left turns when absolutely necessary. Or you could talk to your local Geico agent, whose policy is to use their expertise to navigate your insurance, finding the best route to help you save money on insurance for your home, car, and more. And as an added bonus, you'll be able to avoid traffic jams and potholes entirely. To find a Geico agent near you, visit geico.com/local.
The mainstream, we're going to be seeing, biogenetics having a major impact on society around the world, and through, major breakthrough in science in terms of they're going to be coming up with new solutions in destroying cancer and trying to find solutions that would be potentially unstable at the beginning, but will become more stable as time goes by. So I'm not worried so much about the present, because it's still a learning experience, but I do believe that we're going to be evolving to learn and to be more compassionate, and I think we will change to that extent. I do have that faith. I don't see humanity evolving to something that would be truly evil. If we learn from our ways and how we lived our lives on this planet, we're going to be able to do better as we move forward. I don't see us as doing or repeating history. I hope not. We have in the past, for sure. We have repeated history. If you look at the Ancient Aliens, series, you can see, based on what happened in ancient civilizations, that we have destroyed civilizations based on potential nuclear technology too. And we're repeating that again. It doesn't mean that the nuclear energy is going to be the end of us, in the future. Even if I think a lot of the Greys have shown that as a potential scenario to a few abductees. I think you're aware of that. But I don't see that as our fate. I really believe that we are going to be evolving to a greater species, or greater species in a plural tense, because we're going to be seeing a diversion in races, which is why I mentioned at the beginning that when you have Pleiadians and Sirians and Greys, they're not the same, but they evolved over time. And some people might say that I might be wrong in believing that they are coming from the human race to begin with, but they are obviously humanoids like us, and they definitely have some roots and origins somewhere. And all along, since the beginning, I always believed, and so with my own consciousness, that those races were coming from humanity to begin with.
Well, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we are going to take a break here at the bottom of the hour. Sebastien Martin is our guest tonight. Remote viewing, SSP, aliens, consciousness, contact. Where are we going? Where are we heading? I'm going to ask Sebastien some really weird, pointed questions. Because if anybody might know the answers to this, and some of the stuff that I have been talking with guys behind the scenes about lately, I want to know from him. Sebastien Martin, great friend of Spaced Out Radio. We return on the mighty SOR right after this. We're clear.
Okay. But we are still live.
We're still live on YouTube, yes.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Oh, dude. I got so many cool questions to ask you.
I'm looking forward to it. You know how I work. I can almost like channel directly from the questions that you may have for me, knowing the answer and not knowing the topics that you have. So I always find that very interesting.
Oh. Well, put it this way, Sebastien. I'm not going to say whom, but a couple months ago I got invited into a very exclusive chat group.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the things that I have seen in there, it blows my mind what some of these... and I'm being vague right now because I want to ask you on the air. But, I just really... Oh, God. I'm so interested in asking you this, man. So interested in asking you some of this.
Keep it for the live show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna be. How many minutes do we have?
We got about 4 minutes, dude.
Okay. I'm just gonna be having a quick. No, we can wait. I can do it at 10. It's okay.
All right. Y'all ready for Christmas?
Yeah, I am. I prepared all my presents this year for the first time, like way ahead of time. So I feel pretty excited about it. My kids are excited about it. So yeah. How about you?
Almost. It's just the wrapping now.
Do you have a tree?
Yeah, you know what? This is first time in probably 20-some years I went with a fake tree this year. The real trees, I'll be honest with you, I got tired of cutting them down. Not that I was having any guilt or anything, but honestly, the real... We have one tree farm here in town, and it's like the guy just doesn't give a care. And all the trees were like ugly. So I'm like, that's it. I'm going back to a fake one. Now, I don't like a fake one. I prefer the real one. Yeah. And but that's just where I am, man.
That's okay. Well, I went to pick up, for the last couple of years, I've been cutting my own trees on my property. Mm-hmm. And this year I've been out to a farm, and I made it an event for my kids, so they enjoyed that. And
good.
It was a nice dog on site with a trolley, and he was grabbing the tree on the trolley, and it was interesting.
Yeah,
so that was a good experience.
So I mean, over the weekend we had like a foot of snow fall, and James Smith, how are you? And so I spent my weekend snow blowing.
Yeah.
But that's all right. I got a nice. I go in. Hi, Larry A. How are you, buddy? My favorite thing to do with my snowblower, man, is because I got 2 elderly dogs, and they both love the snow. But in my backyard, I cut trails throughout my backyard for the dogs to run around to make it easier for them. And so every year I try and change up the trail system. But yeah, they're loving it. They're loving it. So. But it's supposed to get real cold, down to almost minus 30 this weekend.
Ooh.
So that's going to really suck.
Yeah.
Hold on. Convert Fahrenheit to Celsius. So for our American friends, that equals out to about minus 22 Fahrenheit this weekend.
Wow.
And
yeah,
that's where you go outside and it's instant icicles on your nose hair.
Yeah. We live in
Max
BC,
Ritchie,
but we
good to
have
see you.
so many different climates.
Yeah, right. We got about 1 minute here, buddy. 1 minute.
Okay. Sounds good.
So I look forward to it. The only thing that sucks is I have a Christmas Day tradition where we usually will go out on the lake around here and go play some hockey. My son and I, but I mean, if it's that cold, I'm not doing that. No way, man.
It's not enjoyable, yeah.
No, it hurts. You only got about 20 minutes that you can take. 1 second here, my friend. I want to say a big thank you to John, Guillermo, Linda, Wreakin' Havoc, Dry Toast, Anthony, and Arden Paranormal for the amazing super chats. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis, so thank you so much for your love and support. Thank you to everybody who's bought swag recently from our store at spacedoutradio.com. Be sure to send me those pictures. I want to put them up on the website. All the veterans who are listening in, much love. You always have a safe home here in our chat room, and we're going to get going with the second half hour right now. Hi, Tammy. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. I want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on with Sebastien Martin. He's a 10-year experiencer. He is someone who has delved deeply into remote viewing, alien contact, consciousness, the secret space program. He's done it all in this field. Quietly, he may not be the biggest name out there, but when it comes to knowledge, this is one of the people we listen to on this show. Sebastien, welcome back.
Thank you, Dave.
My friend, I got to ask you some questions. And they're going to be, they may sound weird, but I'm going to ask you. All right?
Okay.
Now, I got to be careful here because there are certain things I can't quote where I got this information from. Because a few months ago, I was added into a very private chat group that has a lot of influential people who are studying this phenomena. And I'm not talking, your day-to-day Facebook researchers. I'm talking major, major players. And so a lot of what is said in that, it goes by Fight Club rules. But there's a couple things I can ask you regarding this. And I'm going to start off with this one. Immortals. One thing that I learned from this group was that there are a number of people who believe that there are immortals walking around this planet as we speak. Now, they may not be people who we'd suspect, like the Rockefellers or Putin or people along those lines. but they do believe that there are immortal beings here and now. Have you ever looked into this subject?
Yes, I know the subject. I actually know of very serious people in Europe who actually are part of some secret societies, namely Freemasons, but some branches of the Freemasons that are gearing up towards becoming immortals, and they are already doing it, and they have ways of doing it. Now we talked about adrenochrome and trying to be like older, which is very dark and almost like satanic, demonic, if you wish, but these people don't believe that they are doing something that's demonic or negative. It's just a way for them to feel comfortable with the idea of it. But those people are your average, bankers and working in politics, like in England, for example. That's I know. Let's say friends of friends who are immortals in Europe.
How long have they been alive?
Well, so those who I'm interacting with, I would say the immortals today, like the ones they've interacted with, just started it. So I don't know if there are older people out there, but those who they know have already, let's say, reduced their age by 20 years. Let's put it that way. So let's say if they were looking like 60 years old, they would be more like 40 today.
Really? See, I also read a story recently, and Russell Brand, the comedian, who's very conspiratorial, actually a few weeks ago, did a video on a number of high-end companies, which included Amazon's Jeff Bezos, looking into extending life, much like it seems biblically, where we see people living for 200-300 plus years that we read about in the Bible. Is this what you're talking about, immortal, or are you talking true immortal beings like the Highlander, which you got to chop off someone's head before they die?
Pretty much the second part, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much what happens. Like it's not metaphorical. It's definitely realistic. They are doing something to their bodies and their consciousness to change the way they look. So they are basically modifying their cells consciously using different methods. At what price? I don't know. That's something that I'm not very familiar with. But what we should be paying attention today is what's currently happening with the virtual reality with Facebook. And what we are seeing is how easily it will be for people to transfer their consciousness into something else, even in a virtual world. So, like when you die, you potentially have the potential of uploading your brain power and your memory to the multiverse and through the virtual reality system. So, and I think Facebook has banked on that, and to also distract us from our current reality, we're going to be seeing a major resurgence of those, I would say, the situations where people want to escape their day-to-day to go into this false reality that will become a major part of our future, timeline.
Well, let me ask you this then. Is virtual reality, whether it's through Facebook and Metaverse or whatever they're calling it these days,
right?
Is that the new form of MK Ultra?
I guess it helps. I don't know if it's the new form of MK Ultra, but controlling people through these means and those programs are definitely way more easily accessible to the mass market, for sure. triggering people, and I mentioned that earlier, triggering people to make them obey some more into believing that it's okay to go and live off planet, to make it more comfortable to them. These are part of the programs we're talking about here.
Okay, and so let me ask you this, because Waylon brings up an interesting comment here. I'm trying to extend mine. I can tell you now it's not money that buys it. I have money, and that's not what it takes. You have to be chosen, I was told.
To be chosen to become an immortal?
Yeah, or extending life.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, those people, like I said before, you have to expand your consciousness, and to be chosen. I don't know. I mean, those people in politics who already have those positions and power have already been chosen to be part of those groups. So it's easier for those people to be selected to be part of those immortals than the random Joe guy who basically work at the garage, the local garage. So you have to be realistic about the situation too. Offering this opportunity to anybody doesn't make any sense.
All right, so moving on from immortals to skinwalkers.
Okay.
So one of the other questions that I have been told is that there are actual skinwalkers walking this planet as humans like you and I during the day, but can transform into and shapeshift into anything and everything that they want. I'm curious what you think.
Well, we already have this example of the Skinwalker Ranch. So obviously,
But this is outside of that, though.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, that's what I was getting at. It's that those beings are not close to this area on the planet. So there are more of these people around the planet too. But to say that they are living within our society, I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I don't know if creatures like that would become. Are you talking about like shapeshifters?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, shapeshifters have different names. You can call them Dracos. You can call them reptilians. Like in different cultures, with the Hopi Indians, they already were aware of reptilians being part of their culture. So it's not new to know that we have shapeshifters around us. Like we shapeshift ourselves too, because as soon as we reach our higher selves and as we transform, when we talk and we are speaking like a higher truth, we can shapeshift. Like we can basically literally look either younger or we can have a different expression that no longer is aligned with how we look today, like now. So I had many of these experiences with people, and it doesn't mean that they are, skinwalkers. It's just like it happens. Like people do have this ability. We all do.
Okay, so let's switch to another question then.
Okay.
Regarding aliens. There are a number of people who believe that there are aliens already among us. I know you're one of them. Have you ever encountered an alien? Like, let's say you're out shopping at the mall. I'm not saying in a forest or at your home or in a dream state or anything like that, but have you ever been to the mall or a restaurant or traveling in your travels? I know you were going to New York there for quite a while for business. Going to downtown New York, or that might not be a good example, but have you ever walked into an extraterrestrial presence that was
All the time?
all the time?
Yeah.
Explain this to me.
I recognize them. So for me, like to see someone and seeing them shapeshift in front of my eyes, like I've seen that many times. And I know it's not just a feeling, it's also physical. I can see right through their mask. I can see how they look like. And sometimes it could be like half a face. It could be just like the eyes. It could be the skin tones. It depends on how. And also, there's also a look. And the look is very specific to the race, too. Like, I've seen that a lot, especially with the Dracos. But I've seen Pleiadians. I've seen lots of different beings that are already. So let me backtrack. So when you see people shapeshift in this reality, it doesn't mean that they are Draco or they are Pleiadians. What I'm saying is they are linked to like their higher self. Let's say I know where I come from with my experiences. I know I'm attached to that soul energy, to that being.
Imagine an online community where science meets social. Analyte Guru from Thermo Fisher Scientific is a forum where you can talk with your colleagues worldwide, ask questions, swap suggestions, and compare notes. You'll get insights into equipment and techniques, and maybe even answer a riddle or two. You can also sign up for informative webinars. Join the conversation today at analyteguru.com.
Fall is a season of gathering that brings us together with warmth and color. So whether it's a birthday, anniversary, or a special event, celebrate your friends and family with a gorgeous bouquet from 1-800-Flowers.com. 1-800-Flowers makes it easy to find your reason and brighten someone's day with exclusive offers and great values on bouquets and arrangements. To order today, visit 1-800-Flowers.com/tune-in. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/tune-in.
And I'm just an extension of that being on the planet, like an avatar, having this experience. Those people that I'm seeing are kind of the same. Like I know that they could be connected to like a Draco or a Pleiadian or whatever it is, because I can see that and I can see the connection. But there are also some true Draco reptilian beings and aliens who are here among us who can shapeshift, and they are not humans. They are definitely not humans, and they know who they are. So yes, it does happen too. It takes two, I guess.
Okay, so how can you recognize an alien? Like if I'm walking with you, what are you going to tell me about a person?
So there was an example right next door to my farm at my neighbor's place, and we were together at my place, and all of a sudden she had her phone showing the camera because there was activity in a barn with the horses. And so we looked at the camera live, and there was this woman that we suspected, that I told her was reptilian. And then she had the confirmation of that by looking at the video while this person was not looked at and seen. And you could clearly see the ridge on top of the skull that showed up on the camera, like on the live feed. Like you could see her face completely change. And that to me was a very clear example of how I recognize people, because I was already describing that being to my friend, my neighbor, and all of a sudden that being showed up on the camera, and she was able to witness it for herself. And that led to a very interesting unrolling of events where this person had to vacate the property, and it kind of happened with different attacks. So there were a few attacks or psychic attacks happening that same week with those people involved, including me as well, and we all witnessed that happening because they were seen for who they were, and those people had to leave, and that's pretty much what happened that day.
Now, are you talking alien hybrids, or are you talking aliens like in the movie V, that they are actual aliens hiding under a false human flesh?
Yes. I don't know about the false human flesh with a mask, but I think the advanced cities, as we know, can simply just change reality to make themselves appear differently, even if behind this reality you know that they are truly aliens. And that's what I recognize because of my experiences through various realities and dimensions. So if you access the multidimensional realm, it's very clear to you what is right and what's wrong. I've done this exercise with close friends and people I know, and it's always the same. And the results is always the same. Like I don't lie. I have no reason to lie about what I'm seeing about people because I can see right through them. And sometimes it could be like a soul connection, or it could be a physical connection. I can just relate to them because I know who they are. It's just a knowing. And it happened, over and over again.
Okay, do these people know that they're aliens?
Those who basically have like a false mask and they are basically hiding their faces, like through this dimension, yes, they definitely know who they are. Those who have this connection, like I said before, those connections with those races, because they are simply like a soul extension to these races, those ones are not necessarily aware of who they are, but they have an inkling. They somehow, feel the profile based on what they do and the kind of dreams they have and the people they interact with and all these kind of things. And then as time goes by, they become more aware of their own truth and who they are and that kind of connection.
All right.
And there are some who don't know.
All right, let's move on here as we continue on with Sebastien Martin tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Next hour, we're going to get into remote viewing and what it ties into what's going on in the planet today. But for right now, this is just so intriguing. So intriguing, Sebastien. All right, aliens, extraterrestrials, off-worlders, whatever you want to call them. Okay, where are they coming from? And the reason why I ask this is there's a great debate out there, and we've heard it from people like Luis Elizondo, Chris Mellon, many scientists, that they don't know where these craft are coming from. Is it outer space? Is it from the future? Is it from a different timeline, a different dimension? Is it a combination of everything, which I think is the easy answer to everything because, everybody wants an easy answer? What's happening here? Where are all these beings coming from?
Well, so there are beings and there are crafts. And some of the crafts that we've seen, through the Pentagon files and so on, I do believe that those crafts were not aliens, that they were from secret programs that were on Earth. That those technologies were using alien technologies that have been around for, decades. But I do not believe that those crafts were manned. I don't think there was anybody on board. The majority of the multidimensional crafts that we've seen online and so on, like we've seen some of these beings on board, and that can go from Greys to Pleiadians to Sirians to you name it. But the majority of the craft that we see today are not manned, like especially the smaller ones, because they are probes that are sent on to Earth to monitor us and to check back on many things. But sometimes it could just be used as a portal. That even through the oceans, the crafts can be seen plunging right into the oceans, into the waves, and don't make any splash. They go right through it without making any ripple, and that's because they're using our Earth as a portal to go from one locations to another into space. And there are many of these locations on the planet. As to know where the aliens come from, that's a very broad question in terms of how vast the universe is. And knowing that those beings could be coming from our future, our distant future, the Pleiadians, like we know, could not exist today because the Pleiades, star systems, cannot harbor life as we know it today. But it will in the next 70 to 100,000 years. So, and based on my experience, I can relate to that because I know that the experiences I had were not from the past, it was or not from the present. It's not linear. It could happen at any given moment. So whatever reality we've created for ourselves on this planet is the reality we're experiencing. But that could change all the time because every time we meditate, every time we can change our own reality as we know. Like we can manifest change onto this planet. So if we make it happen with the masses, reality tomorrow could be very different from what it was yesterday. As simple as that. Very different. If we just put an effort to believe that this reality can change. And the aliens are not so different from us in that sense. Like they understand that, they know how to manipulate time and space. So for them, it's easy to travel through portals and wormholes and to come to Earth, as an example, along with many other planets in the universe. So it's infinite, the amount of alien races out there. I can't even put a number to it. It's so vast. I do believe that the universe is streaming with life, and the amount of races that we've documented on the planet is just a fraction of what's out there. And there are some that we can't even put a name or even picture because they are so multidimensional that they don't look like bipeds like humanoids like we are. They could be looking like it could just be energy. It could be something that doesn't even look human. It could just be like a centipede, something that could be very small. It doesn't have to be huge or our size to be alien. And that could also have intelligence, right? So it's just limitless to me as to know what's out there.
And I agree with you on that. I think that the universe is rife with all sorts of life and societies or whatever you want to call that. All right. Mm-hmm. The question is, how do we know what's getting here and what is going on? We got about a minute here, my friend.
I don't know if we know what's getting here, because we're always surprised. Like, I've seen things like with my own eyes that I didn't even know that existed, in the past. I can't even put my rational mind to it. Seeing a being with black eyes, white face, no mouth, no ears, with like skeleton hands and no feet. I don't know what that is, but it was very real to me, and it was right in front of my eyes. So I'm not quite sure if we can put a name to every race that came to Earth, because we simply don't know. We can only relate to the ones we witnessed and documented, and that's it.
Well, you know what? One of the questions I forgot to ask you this half hour, and I will in the next, is time travel. Mm-hmm. Because I do believe time travel is going on. Mm-hmm. I want to believe it. I need to believe it. Whether it is or not, I have no idea. But I got to hit you up on this. Thank you for the reminder, Divine Diamond, in the chat room. Sebastien Martin is our guest tonight. Coming up, we're going to get into some time travel, remote viewing, aliens, you name it. How does it all tie to what's going on in the world today? We will find out here as we got another 90 minutes with Sebastien on Spaced Out Radio.
I'm just going to be checking up on my kids and I come back.
You go. My voice got stuck there. Weird. Boy, that's a nice chair. Look at that chair he has. That's a nice chair. Isn't that nice? Hold on, I gotta remove that. Wonder if that's a chair behind his chair, or if that's like a extra headrest right there. That's high quality wood for a bookshelf too. And I like how all the shelves are off-centered. That's cool. Gorgeous Kim Jellin, how you doing? Yeah, we got a close-up of Sebastien Martin's chair. That's how exciting it gets around here on the Mighty SOR. Yes, his work table is very nice. Anybody else curious what's on that tripod over there? That looks like a music stand. I don't know. Gorgeous Donna C., what's happening? Jonathan Bo Horvat. Let's see here. No, we have not discussed Phil Corso yet. Grand Paul Holland, how are you? That could be a telescope. Let's get a close-up here. It does look like maybe there's two stands there. Maybe like a camera tripod and a music stand. That one definitely looks like a music stand. Or maybe there are two. I don't know. We're going to find out. Scott Myers, how you doing? Yeah, you've been to his house. Trust Divine Mercy from Quesnel, British Columbia. Height unknown, weight unknown. Grantavius Grant Roger. There he is. Trust Divine Mercy, nice to see you. Scotty Myers is in the chat room. Okay, we got to know what's with the two tripods in the back. Is one a music stand?
Are you talking about my tripod?
Yeah, over your left-hand shoulder.
Yeah. Well, those were I was using those for interviews.
Ah, so they are camera stands.
Tripods. I've got my camera equipment and stuff, and so yeah. I haven't done that in quite a while.
Michigan UFO, how you doing there, buddy? Nice to see you. Everybody's curious about your book collection. They love your bookshelf.
Yep.
Grant, hold on a second. Grant, what the hell are you doing shoveling snow? They have snow blowers, man. TMI, Beelzebrad, good to see you guys. Thanks for joining us. We've got about 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Is that an owl on the top shelf? No, that's a face. That's a statue.
It's Plato.
Oh, that's Plato. Okay. And what's in the urn above one of your children's pictures? There's a little urn there.
You mean like the brown box?
No. No. If you go up 3 shelves and then to your left or your right.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that was a cigar box.
Oh, okay. Steam Train Mark in Australia. Thank you for letting me know I'm alive tomorrow. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Apparently, according to gorgeous Pam McSee, I'm nosy tonight. Where's the cigar box? Where's the humidor?
That's the cigar box right there.
Oh yeah.
I don't use that anymore.
You're not smoking cigars anymore?
Yeah, I do, but I don't use that box now. I've got like the big,
I want to see your. I want to see your humidor room. You probably have a humidor room, don't you?
I do, yes.
Yes, I figured that. Mr. Lurks a lot. Nice to see you. I want to come over to your house and just see the humidor. Mary Eck, nice to see you. We got just over a minute here. Yes. And so Sebastien has a walk-in humidor. That does not surprise me. The gorgeous Simply Coco. Please tell us what you're drinking for tonight's show. What is your drink of choice?
My drinking choice right now, I'm drinking water.
Yeah, me too. But she's usually on a sangria or something along those lines. Sometimes wine. James Horn, nice to have you here. I want to say a big thank you to Arden, Anthony, Dry Toast, Wreaking Havoc, Linda, Guillermo, and John for the amazing super chats. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you so much to all our super chatters. Big thank you to all the veterans who are tuning us in. You always have a safe home here in our chat rooms. All our regulars, you make it so much fun each and every night. So thank you so much. And don't forget, there it is. It is sangria tonight. Excuse me. And don't forget, do a little shopping at our Spaced Out Radio store on our website. Here we go.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Thank you so much to everyone tuning us in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Just go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam is set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Farcinate. Farcinate is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with Sebastien Martin, remote viewing, aliens, disclosure, everything that is going to affect this planet we are going to hit up here in the next 90 minutes. But first, we got to get to time travel. Sebastien, you are someone who is in the know. You've remote viewed this. You've talked to some very exclusive people about this subject. Do we have the ability to time travel?
Technology-wise, yes, but at the same time, how it's done, like let's say in the military, it's most likely done through the consciousness. So you can still be seen at different times, but it doesn't mean that you can physically do things. You can't, touch objects, but you can influence people. You can almost like remote view while being present. It's almost like bilocating. That to me is my experiences with time travel. I've experienced it myself with people that are alive today. I also know that you can impact your own past or somehow intervene into what happened in the past to, like, according to some major events. Like, for example, for me, a few years ago, I was attacked, or I had a psychic attack from a Draco reptilian that I remote viewed in Eastern Europe. And a few members of my team that were doing the same work, because we're collecting data separately, and therefore that information was being cataloged and compartmentalized. So as you provide these informations to your contacts, they can decipher or use these informations for making sure that what is real versus what's not, or what may not happen. So one day I was actually involved into a remote viewing session where I was trying to see a time travel.
When traders tell us how to make Thinkorswim even better, we listen. They asked for a version they could access anywhere, no download necessary. We heard them. And when they asked to execute a preset trade strategy in seconds, we said absolutely. Feedback like this inspired us to build Thinkorswim Web, and it continues to push us. So our entire suite of platforms never stops getting better. Because platforms this innovative aren't just made for traders, they're made by them. Thinkorswim Trading from TD Ameritrade.
Bundling home and car insurance with Geico is so easy, your neighbors are probably already doing it. But who? They may drop little hints like,
beautiful day out. Even more beautiful since we saved by bundling our home and car insurance with Geico.
Or,
yard work is hard. Much harder than bundling with Geico, which was easy.
Or it may be even subtler, like,
speaking of burgers, we bundled our home and car insurance with Geico and saved a bunch of money.
Bundling is easy with Geico. Just ask your neighbors.
Equipment that was hidden in a mountain in Eastern Europe. And it was an ancient piece of technology that was there, and I was supposed to be describing it. And as I was doing that, and I was exactly in that location, there was a white Draco reptilian looking at me straight through my consciousness, like he could see me. And I stopped the session, and that same night, I had a psychic attack from that being. And then a week later, I went to New York on a business trip, and after coming back from a Broadway show, I had a mark on my left leg, and it was a clear mark, like a scratch that was fairly deep. And I went to have a shower, and then went to bed. And that night, I believe I died. It might be strong to say, but that's exactly how it felt like. And it was not a heart attack. My heart was perfectly fine. But you know what it's like when you have a psychic attack and you feel this frequency being targeted at you. And while remote viewing myself, I was able to see within my body that I had nanotechnology within myself. And that was fighting me, and I could not fight it. And I gave up after 4 hours, and I basically lost consciousness to the point that I woke up 3 hours later, and I felt like I could just jump and fly off the curb of the street. It was only until recently that I discovered that it was actually, and I felt safe, to be honest. I felt like something changed. I don't know why. I didn't feel tired after just 3 hours of passing out, and I basically never understood what happened to me that night. And until recently, when I realized that I was working with someone and we were able to go back to that time to heal myself. And that's the presence I felt the next day, remembering that's the experience I had. So I don't know if I'm being too vague here, but what I'm saying is the experience of going back in the past and having an impact on someone's life, and in a good way, could happen energetically, not physically, if you understand what I mean. So I was able to time travel, like to go back in the past to see a person I know today who is like 10 years older than me, and I was able to see her as an adult, as myself, seeing her when she was 6 years old or 12 years old, and interact with her, and she could hear me and I could hear her, and I could understand her language even if I could not speak her language. That to me is way more powerful than the physical time travel that we can use using technology, because I think this is kind of limitless. You can not just like time travel onto this planet, but somewhere else. You can go anywhere you want, basically. And mastering the art of appearing somewhere else is very unique. I was able to do that. I don't know exactly how in the past my friends were able to see me at two different places at once in terms of bilocation. Is that time travel? I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it's just a matter of changing reality so you can bend this dimension to make it look like time travel, but it might not be. I don't know. It doesn't mean I understand the specifics of it. I don't know how it's done. I don't know the science behind it. I just know that it's possible.
Do you think, though, that we do have people from the future visiting here right now?
Yes, of course. But good. It's not using the technology that people see like through Stargates and these kind of things. The military has tried to do that, and like I'm talking about like aliens from the future coming back to see us. They're not using our linear time to achieve it. It's they simply use a multidimensional portal to reach us and see us. If you can call that time travel, I don't know. I don't think time is as linear as people think. If you think of time travel, you think that we live in this reality in the present and we can go back in the past. It doesn't really matter. Like you can go in the future too. It's there was a classic mention about what's the concept when you can't kill yourself or your dad, and if you kill your dad in the past, you will not exist in the present. That was the right. Major debate, and I think recently there was a scientist in England, I think, who discovered that this could not happen. This could not be possible. Like you could not kill your own father and come back into this reality of this present time, because the laws of physics would not allow us to achieve that. Because what he realized is we actually see, even if that's true, let's say you go back in the past and you kill your father, when you come back in this present, it will most likely not be the same present, because the subtlety of reality are changing all the time. So if you change something from the past that you're accessing may not even be the real past that you've experienced as a human being. It could just be like a variation of your past, because it's limitless. And same thing happens for the future too. We have different timelines. We can access different timelines, and that works for the past too, because that's the complexity of our universe and our planet. It's not linear. We don't have a simple past and a simple present and a simple future. It changes all the time. And even with our thought process, we can change things. We can modify things. So it's just, to me, if you wish to just time travel to go from one point to another in time and space, I do not believe this truly happened with technology. Do you understand what I mean? I don't believe that's true, because there's always been variations or changes that made it very complicated and unreliable. We've seen that through the looking glass, technology, where you could see glimpses of the future through the looking glass technology, and that showed it proved to be unpredictable, because what happens in the future may be very different from what would happen.
Okay, so I understand what you're saying on a very ethereal level, that any of us could time travel. But do we actually have the machine and the technology available to say, send a person like you or me back to 1985 to see where Doc is making the DeLorean?
Yeah, that could happen. But again, this past will not be the same past as we would have had experienced in this lifetime. It will be a variant timeline. It will not be the same timeline as we would have experienced today. It will just be a different one.
Why would it be different?
Because we can't control the past. Like if you try to go to a specific time, you could access it, but it doesn't mean that it will be the same reality that you're experiencing on this timeline, because it changes all the time.
How can time in the past change if we've already lived it?
Because it's a different timeline. It's not linear.
Or so we think.
That's what quantum physicists talk about. They know of it. It's just not linear, and it is theory, but there are also some physical experiments that have been conducted to show that you can show two objects at the same time in a room using quantum computers and technology, to see that if you can time travel and go back in a specific past. I think that may be possible, but you won't be then going back to your current timeline as it is today on this show, being aware of that, because things will have changed. You will never be able to reconcile.
That's way too heavy, man.
You will never be able to reconcile the past with the present in a variance of timelines that we could experience, because it's limitless. And everybody could have a different experience as well. So it's really subjective. It's not collective.
Okay, I think I'm getting it. I think I understand. I think I need to drink way more to understand it, rather than the water I have in my studio right now.
Well, we can elaborate on that if you wish. I've got time.
Well, I've got some time here, too. But, apparently I can't go back in time, because if I go to edit this show, it's not going to be the same as what it was.
Well, we know of the Mandela effects, right?
Oh, don't even get me started on the Mandela effect. That's going to throw me right off. That's going to throw me right off, because I actually had a couple of strange occurrences happen a number of months ago.
Okay.
And the most notable one was I was about to have author David Weatherly on the show. It's going back about 4 months. And I'm scrolling through Instagram, and I see his profile for Erie Lights, that's his publication company, come up.
Yeah.
And I see a book, which is titled Monsters of the Great Lakes. And then David Weatherly along the bottom, like his titles normally are. So, as you know, I always do a pre-phone call before an interview. We had ours tonight. And I call up David, and I said, Dave, I'm real excited about this new book you have out regarding Monsters of the Great Lakes. Can't wait to talk about that, something new. He goes, Dave, yeah, that is a great topic. But I have never written that book. I said, what do you mean? I just saw it on your Instagram today. Or Facebook, whatever it was. And he goes, Dave, I'm telling you, man, I've never written that book. And do you think I could go back and find the post?
Nope.
No. It was gone.
Yeah, so, going back to what you've experienced, you say that you're going to be editing the show and looking back and, reality may change. No, it doesn't work. It doesn't quite work that way. What I was referring to is if you try to physically go back to the show and experience it with me again, it would not be the same show and it would not be the same timeline. It would be a different past. With variations, it might be very minute variations, but it would not be the same show. It would not be the same experience. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so that would mean that all different timelines and dimensions are running at the exact same time.
That's correct.
Which would mean that there really is no such thing as ghosts, because a ghost timeline would be running at the exact same time as us.
Well, they are multidimensional, so they could be in parallel to our reality, but they could merge from one timeline to another because they have the capacity of, appearing and disappearing at will. That's why. They can jump to various timelines.
So if you can't travel back to the future, which would mean you can't travel back forward to the same timeline, can you travel or time travel from, say, 2021 to 2036 or 2182 or 2349?
Sure, but same idea. Like, you could access a timeline that might not be in line with the current timeline you are on today. Because you're accessing something that is so far ahead that the consciousness of each individual on the planet may change and will change this timeline regardless. So it doesn't matter what you're trying to achieve by moving so far ahead in the future, it will never be the same. You're only accessing something that might be remotely, similar to what you think it will be, but it won't be that at all. It's going to be one of many, realities, which is what we discussed from going back to looking glass technology. That's what those people in government realized, is that you can't rely on the future that much because it's ever changing.
So would that not mean that there are different Sebastians and different Daves and different audience members in different timelines as well?
Always. Yeah.
So if we experience then death in another timeline, how does it affect us here?
You have to look at yourself. You have to look at yourself as energy, not just as a physical entity on this planet. The reason being, we can transmute this energy and diffuse it because we're all energy and we're all frequency. We can have multiple experiences at the same time without realizing it, because we are basically very powerful and we are eternal, and we can access all these different realities at once. It doesn't mean that we're necessarily aware of them, because you lose your mind. Like, you'll not be able to function if you were aware of every single potential reality that's out there. It's impossible. Your brain could not comprehend it, but it does exist. It does happen. And sometimes the bifurcation in timelines is so minute that you don't realize it. But it can happen at any given moment during the day. It doesn't have to be, it's ever changing.
My head hurts. Eric with a K wants to know, what about the power of now?
Okay, I don't know. What's the power of now? The power of now is what we're capable of achieving with what we have. And that's just being conscious and being present. And that's the true power. The true power is to be within ourselves and to be able to be conscious of all of these different dimensions and timelines. And that's how we can become more psychic. That's how we can become more powerful and more spiritual and more positive, living without fear. That is the power of now, by being conscious and by being present. Living too far ahead causes us to be anxious because we just worry too much about what's going to happen in the future. Looking back in the past might make us more depressed. If we are more present and we are embracing what's currently happening, we don't have those worries because we are living in this reality. We can be more present. We can breathe better. We can just transmute all these bad energies that happen on a daily basis. And we can actually change our environment. And we can change not just ourselves, but others and impact matter. We can basically transmute all of this negativity that's currently happening today and make our world a better place for it, simply by thinking about it.
You're killing my brain right now. Killing my brain. This is why I need to come to Vancouver Island and spend about a week with you, my friend.
Okay.
Definitely. 90 seconds to go before we go to break here. Sebastien Martin is our guest tonight. How long have you been remote viewing?
5 years. It's a small amount of time.
We're going to get more into that in the break or after the break. I want to quickly squeeze.
I've been doing remote viewing for that long consciously, but when you think about all the psychic abilities that I had since I was a child, I probably remote viewed without knowing what it was. I just did it, and I just couldn't put a name to it.
Well, remote viewing is an interesting talent because for me, I don't really see the difference between astral travel and remote viewing. I really don't. Well,
astral travel can bring you to different realms that could be very, very unrealistic with this dimension. It doesn't have to be this world. It could be somewhere else. You could remote view a different planet, but I could also remote view the past. I could also remote view a different location for different people. And the remote viewing is much broader. We can discuss that in the last part.
We'll come back to that on Spaced Out Radio as we shift gears once again. What can we remote view? The future, the past, the present. What mom's making for a Christmas dinner? We'll find out on Spaced Out Radio right after this. All right, Enzo wants to know, if you travel back in time, nothing you change matters, but how sure are you'll return to the present you left?
We already discussed it. That's exactly that. You don't know. And most likely you won't. So it's, if you time travel back in time, nothing you change matters. That's not true. It does matter because it affects everything around you at the time if you change something. How sure are you that you will return to the present you left? You can't be sure because you already transformed something from a different timeline and expecting to have the same reality when you come back to your present time. It doesn't happen that way. So of course it will be different. And it might also be a different reality that has nothing to do with the time you changed in the past. If that was, the theory behind that question.
Dude, you're killing my brain today.
I'm sorry. It's just based on what I've experienced and what I know of it. It's fun. It's actually very fun.
Eric with a K, we are his third favorite show. We're number 3.
Wow.
He is asking, is there any verifiable evidence that Sebastien can cite that would prove his beliefs or experiences?
That's a great question. My experiences are my own. In terms of Zoe coming into my living room, I can't duplicate that experience. It's just something that I've lived through.
Imagine an online community where science meets social. Analyte Guru from Thermo Fisher Scientific is a forum where you can talk with your colleagues worldwide, ask questions, swap suggestions, and compare notes. You'll get insights into equipment and techniques, and maybe even answer a riddle or two. You can also sign up for informative webinars. Join the conversation today at analyteguru.com.
Buy one, get one for $1 at McDonald's. Or as we like to call it, the can't have just one deal. Mix and match a sausage biscuit, sausage McGriddles, McChicken biscuit, chicken McGriddles, or crispy hash browns. Want 2 sausage biscuits? Buy one, get one for $1. Want a sausage biscuit and hash browns? That's cool too. Choose more of what you love. Buy one, get one for $1 at McDonald's. Prices and participation may vary. Valid for item of equal or lesser value. Cannot be combined with combo meal.
That I know could have been compared to losing my mind, and I thought of that at the time because it was so rational. But at the same time, I also had other experiences that were related to that encounter that made me see more things and led me to places that I would have never expected to go to. Like going to Mount Shasta, for example, was a voice in my head saying, you have to go to Mount Shasta. I'd never heard of Mount Shasta before. I'd never been to that place in California before, and yet I've been. So clearly that could be an experience. The people I've met, the people I had UFO experiences with, like Scott Myers is with us tonight, and he's one of the experiences with me. I had many people that I mentioned in my book. Wait a second, let's just come back with it. So when you see that book in Inner Journey in Outer Space, I do have examples of people that were with me during those experiences, and some of them, and those are still very close friends that I have, that I'm still in touch with, that had those very, very strange experiences. Alia Casey, who is actually the author of my foreword in my book, was a former U.S. Department of Defense and Department of State staff. So working very closely with the Pentagon. These people are real, and they interacted with me, and I remote viewed for them, and for many years. So in terms of evidence, I think I do mention a few in that book, and yeah, I mean, that's basically what I can share right now. Oh, Sherry, so I can remove you. I proved it to her. That is true. Thanks, Sherry. So, I mean, we all had those experiences. Like, you had your own. If I ask you to prove it to me, it's harder when you have an experience. You can always be changed all the time by anybody, because at the end of the day, it's not just a belief, but it's also believing in your own limitations. And if you question someone else based on their abilities, you have the right to do that. That's rational. But at the same time, it limits you to have those experiences for yourself, because you have those doubts. And it should not be that way. I think people should have their own experiences for themselves, because it's important to live in that moment that we talked about, and to have those deep connections. It doesn't have to be proven, It's just something that you can leave for yourself and sit with your own mind's eye, literally. That's, you can think that you can imagine it, but it's not. It's just
we got to get going. We got to get going here, buddy. I apologize. Yeah. Thank you to the super chatters. Really appreciate it. Here we go with the second half. Second half of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. Appreciate you tuning us in and enjoying the ride on the Woo Train. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We're talking remote viewing with a good friend of this show. Sebastien Martin is here. He's been remote viewing for 5 years, and some of the things he's seen, well, I'll let him explain it. Sebastien, before we get too deep into this, for our radio listeners listening in who may not know what remote viewing is, maybe give a brief description.
Mm-hmm. Well, remote viewing is accessing a different place with your mind's eye or your third eye. You can literally transport your consciousness in a different location, and it can happen instantly. It takes no time whatsoever and no effort to get there. You can remote view the past, you can remote view the present, and you can also remote view the future. In terms of the future, like as we discussed, it's way more complex because it's ever changing. If you want to remote view a planet, that's pretty much something that we never change or barely, so it's more reliable. If you try to remote view an event in the future, it might not be necessarily true because it's like we discussed before. It could be changing all the time, so we can't rely on this timeline. An event in the past kind of works the same way. So relying on remote viewing for present events in different locations is way more reliable because it's live. And the way I remote view myself, it kind of changes, but I usually see an event as a first person. So I could see my hands and I don't see my eyes or my face. I could just see an event. I could be transported to a location, and sometimes I could see an event through the eyes of someone else. So I could be in the body of someone else and having that clear vision of seeing this event. And that happened many times over with Alia, the person that is in my book. She mentioned that too, and I kind of related to those events because I was able to smell the cigars in the room, and I was able to feel the air blowing on my face. I could feel everything. And I could also see what was in people's minds. Like I was able to read their thoughts as this was happening. So it doesn't happen all the time. But what I've noticed doing remote viewing on one individual in particular, like say I'm asked to remote view a person, then what I can provide in terms of critical information is the connections that those people have that may lead to more people to check, let's put it that way, or to keep an eye on. That's one of the aspects of remote viewing. I have seen events that could potentially happen, so timelines that never occurred because they were prevented. So it's by warning that this could happen if you do this, The reason why those events were confirmed to be true is because I was seeing like a detachment, for example, to do with a battalion going into a field. I was able to see the landscape clearly, and I was able to see what was behind the landscape. Let's say there were some enemies placed on a mountain top behind that line of vision of those allies. I was able to determine what kind of military equipment that they had on that ridge. So while the event did not occur, that prevented them from potentially lead this group to, mass executions, basically, or hardship. And just by providing that piece of evidence, was able to prevent an event that never occurred. So that's how you can use remote viewing for prevented the kidnap of people, just being wary of the people they were surrounding themselves with. Preventing, assassinations and these kind of things.
Okay.
That's what you can do to use remote viewing.
We know that through the United States government, they have been trying to remote view objects since the 60s, going back to where there was a big remote view battle, allegedly, between the U.S. government and military and the Kremlin and the USSR back in those days. Mm-hmm. And, apparently this had some very interesting results to where remote viewers were allegedly able to see right into the hidden books of what was written down in the Kremlin by the KGB. Mm-hmm. And today we learn that this was a very real program. We know that people like John Alexander were involved with that. Hal Puthoff were involved with that. We're learning that potentially or allegedly Luis Elizondo was quite the remote viewer in that program as well. Mm-hmm. So with that being used on a military level, how does that affect what we do as civilians, such as yourself, who want to remote view?
How does it affect me?
Well, how does it affect all of us in general?
Well, because everybody can remote view. It's not limited to a few. Like, it's just a matter of practicing and doing the work. And you have different methods to access it. Like, obviously, using binaural frequencies through, like, the Monroe Institute, for example, they worked on that technique to remote view, and that was the basis of the Stargate program. But you can use various methods, and I was meditating since the age of 8 years old, using transcendental meditation. And my first remote viewing experience was when I was truly 16 years old. And I was doing that to impress a girl, like to actually see objects on a nightstand, in a dorm. And I was able to see the 3 objects that she placed to trick me, when the original method was just one object. And that was, again, one method that I've used to access or do remote viewing. I didn't know what it was at the time. I panicked because it felt very strange to me. I was able to travel through like a black channel or tunnel, and then hovering over that nightstand. And then as soon as I saw it, and I was not even looking around because I was just so focused on those objects, and I came back into my body, and it was a shock. Like, I was literally out of breath. I was sweating. And I was completely frozen in my bed. I couldn't move. And that scared me, and I vowed that I would never do that again. And I didn't, not that same way. And it's by opening myself up to, hypnosis, actually, at first, doing hypnosis. And after my encounter with Zor in my living room, I was able to access my subconscious mind, and somehow something clicked. And I don't think it had anything to do with hypnosis, but that was the process I went through to open myself up to remote viewing, because the first sighting I had was about a potential agent in the field that was about to be discovered, and I warned that person, knowing who that person was at the time. Never met that person before in my life, but somehow I knew who that person was, and I was able to warn that person of that potential discovery, and that person was able to leave that safe house on time and leave the country. That's how it all started for me. And what was interesting is I had better chances or successes with certain people for remote viewing. So in my case, working with Alia, for example, was a mind-blowing experience, because she tested me a great deal in terms of remote viewing experiences, and I was able to go back to past events to witness things that the media never talked about. And that's how she was able to confirm some of my remote viewing experiences, which I was discovering at the time in a full-blown manner. And that became a routine for me. Like I was doing it so randomly that I could be cooking my breakfast in the morning and have a remote viewing session. It was that easy. And at any given time. And sometimes I wasn't even thinking about it. It was just happening. I was able to connect directly to some events working with Alia. That was one of the things I did.
All right, we got a couple questions from our audience here for you. And let's start off with Larry here. What are some things a person can do to be able to remote view?
Well, the first one is to meditate, because through meditation, you can access your subconscious mind and you will be able to see things. And that's how you can literally start the remote viewing experience, is to be open to those changes and to be able to feel them. So I have to say that remote viewing is a very mental aspect. It's not something that I feel. And most good remote viewers will tell you the same thing. In order to be a good remote viewer, you don't have to feel anything, because the emotions are masking the true experience of remote viewing. But you can access remote viewing in a different way, through the heart, for doing the right things too. So there are different ways of doing it. Truthfully, they all work kind of similarly, that you can basically achieve the same results. And that's basically the same thing as being a psychic. You can have a true experience being a psychic, connecting to someone, and have a true vision. Same thing happens with remote viewing, but in order to achieve that results, you, like I said, I mentioned binaural frequencies. You can listen to some of these tapes. You can even sleep with it, and that will open your mind to having more dreams and opening up your pineal glands, so you have more dreams and you are more open to accessing your third eye that way. That's what I would recommend. Meditating, breathing, like doing breathing techniques. There are so many things that you can do, and if you have that connection and it becomes clearer and clearer every day, then anyone can achieve that result.
All right, let's move on to another question here. Lala is asking, how do you feel physically and mentally after you remote view?
It depends on the experience. If I'm involved in an experience that is mentally challenging because of what I see, at the time when I see those events, it doesn't touch me because I don't feel them. I'm just witnessing what's happening. And that's hard to do, because I've seen things that were pretty horrific, and yet you just have to keep it objective, because you just want to relay the events, and hopefully certain things can change. But at the end, this is what led me to quit that program, is because it was becoming too challenging for me. I still do it now casually for fun, but not for work. And physically, I always felt good, like it was not a bad feeling. But when I had obviously like a challenging experience after the facts, this could have affected me. At the beginning, it was affecting me more physically, with having heart palpitations and anxiety arising from those visions or sessions. And as time went by, I wasn't really physically feeling differently. It was just part of what I was doing. And so I was used to it. So I was not really fazed by it.
Max wants to know, how do you validate your experience when it's happening?
Well, like I said, the people I worked with validated those experiences for me, because I can't validate them for myself. There's no way. Especially when it happens, 12,000 kilometers away from here. There's no way I can know that whatever I'm seeing is true. So only the people working with me can validate what is true and what's not. And what's interesting is, over time, some of the remote viewing sessions I had at the time felt wrong, not to me, but to the people I was working with, because it made no sense. And then as time went by, they realized that those events occurred, and because it was just delayed. And so that's what I've experienced, and that's how they were able to validate those events for me down the line.
You are someone who has been asked to remote view some major situations, and I'm going to keep those very privately from personal discussions you and I have had off the record in the past. But for you, when someone asks you to remote view something, what would put you in that situation?
What do you mean?
How would someone approach you and say, I want you to remote view subject A in Turkmenistan or Britain or Jordan or wherever it may be.
Okay. So the way it worked for me is I work well with pictures. So I was given a picture of the subject, and I was able to remote view that person. And by remote viewing that person, I was able to link that person to some places and some other people too. So I was able to find out about their everything from their religion to their belief systems to the people they interacted with, what they were like as individuals, if they were like cheaters or sexual or greedy or whatever it felt like. I was able to have all this information at once doing remote viewing. Recently, I did a remote viewing session for a friend and to do with children, and I was able to remote view them, and I was able to describe them for her very accurately, and I'd never met them. I just didn't know them, and everything I was able to.
The people of ServiceNow live to solve problems, and no problem is too big to solve. Governments that need streamlining? You got it. A veterans administration that needs modernizing? No problem. Students in need of in-person learning? Yep, we can help with that too. No matter what monumental challenges you're facing, digital solutions can help you take them on. And now, ServiceNow is helping the medical community take on the greatest challenges of our time, the challenge of turning vaccines into vaccinations. Thankfully, it's a challenge they're rising to. Today, with the help of ServiceNow Digital Solutions, healthcare providers are administering vaccinations safely and efficiently. They're streamlining the process and making getting a shot, well, simple. Learn how ServiceNow is helping our healthcare heroes get vaccines off the shelf and into the arms of the patients who need them. Visit servicenow.com/vaccine to find out more about their vaccine management system.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Wait a minute. I've heard that before. That's the note Jeremy wrote to me in my yearbook in the 6th grade. How'd you even know that?
Because it's from Geico.
Yeah, wait, here it is. Dear Luke, have a great summer. P.S. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. Love, Jeremy.
Geico's had this tagline for years, because we help save people money.
So wait, you're saying Jeremy copied you? Yeah, that actually does sound like something the J-Man would do.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
See was also related to their past. And so I was able to remote view that and see events that happened to her in her lifetime, and she remembered those events after I explained to her and described them to her. And I had no way of knowing. So again, she was able to validate that for me. And I was not seeing a picture of her children. I was able to see her. I knew her, and I was able to connect to those people through her. So it's not always the same, but if it's a subject like, person A or person B, usually it works best with pictures. That's usually how I worked. And I've done that many times over, even in the Cowichan Valley with some friends, and that worked well for me. And again, those people were able to validate what I've experienced.
Lala would like to know, how did you create this into a career? Where would one start?
Well, I was not choosing that career. I was picked to do it. But if you basically join certain groups, like for example, if you, I don't know if I should say that. Let's say you basically go through like a seminar, and you want to learn about remote viewing or even binaural frequencies. You go to the Monroe Institute and you become a very good subject, and you have those wonderful experiences. It is possible that some of these individuals may be selected. Let's put it that way.
Is there anything you will not remote view?
Yes, but I won't mention it here today.
Have you ever turned down a job because you're like, that is not something I agree with?
Yes. It kind of led me to stopping doing what I was doing because of it.
Can you remote view extraterrestrials?
Yes, of course.
When you remote view extraterrestrials, is the game different than remote viewing a human?
It's not that the game is different. It's just that you access a different level of consciousness that is not human. So you have a very different level of understanding, and it's very complex to the extent that some of these realities may be distorted simply because your human brain cannot comprehend it. So you're only able to see a certain aspect of those ETs. And so when you access their consciousness, it becomes very different because they're already accessing a different level of consciousness than yours from what you're used to on a day-to-day basis. So it's so complex that it could lead you to see way more than you bargained for at first, because it kind of brings you into different kind of rabbit hole that leads you to different realities all at once while dealing with those beings who are already multidimensional. So it's very, very challenging. But yes, I've done that many times.
If you could remote view extraterrestrials, have you been able to figure out through that remote viewing what their purpose of coming to this planet is?
Yes. I mean, to some extent, because I can't say I've remote viewed everyone. But for what I'm used to, they are observers, and they are just curious to link our consciousness with theirs, so they are learning from us and from what we're experiencing. And it's mostly from the emotions that we're going through that is very foreign to them, because it's something that almost like becomes archaic as we evolve, because we are very primal beings, and we have those emotions that are very animal-like, but we also have very deep emotions that we can't even comprehend today. Very, very complex emotions that those beings no longer have. And I'm saying no longer because I do see them as people coming from the future, not from our past. So they simply go back to this timeline so they can try to understand what they've lost, over time, for being more evolved beings. Basically, that's the reality of it. What's interesting is my current experience right now for what's currently happening is that those beings are looking at what's currently happening in the world of COVID, and nothing seems to be wrong to them, because this is part of potentially their future timeline too. This is like a major turning point in people's evolution and consciousness evolution. As time goes by, we're going to be seeing those things aligning with what we understand of various aliens that we know of on this planet. That's how this is perfectly normal to them, that they have no need for them to get involved in what is currently happening. That's why there is no intervention.
All right. We'll talk more remote viewing with Sebastien Martin as we have until the bottom of the hour on Spaced Out Radio. Then we will bring in the fedora-wearing John Hudson for the Unbiased UFO Report, Shirky Poo's News, Thought of the Dave, a jam-packed third hour coming up on Spaced Out Radio when we return. All right, we're clear, buddy.
Okay. I'm just going to have a glass of water and I come back.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Tracy Wenzel, welcome to Spaced Out Radio's chat room. This show took on a life of its own. This has been kind of cool. The lovely Candy Romero. What is happening? Don't forget, everyone, mark April 22nd to 24th on your calendars, because right now, that is going to be our first annual SOR fan party in Las Vegas. Now, we're still working out the full details on that. We'll hopefully get that done in the next week or two. And what we're going to do is gather around, hang out in Vegas, have some drinks, talk about some woo. No, it's not a conference. No, it's not a big speaking engagement. It's about all of us coming together, hanging on out in the wonderful Sin City, and chilling out, talking some woo, having some dinner, some drinks, and just spending some fun times with your fellow SOR listeners. Yes, April 22nd to 24th. Now, when the official announcement comes down, what I need from all of you who are planning on going is to email a certain email that we're going to give you. And what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we have some Spaced Out Radio swag in there for you. So we're just working out the details. It's going to be very impromptu. There's no schedule except for maybe dinner, because we're not eating breakfast for dinner in Vegas. I'm just going to clarify that right now. There will be no breakfast for dinner options. So, tentatively, Friday night, we're all going to hang out. I'm going to be going down on a Thursday, coming back on Monday. So on the Friday night, that'll be our first official hangout session. I don't know where yet. Then Saturday, during the day, you guys can do what you want. And then we'll all meet up at some place for dinner, hang out. And then we'll go for drinks that evening and hang out again. Then, after that, what we will do is on the Sunday, obviously everybody's going to want to sleep in. And then we will, for those who are sticking around on Sunday and maybe leaving on the Monday, like I will be, maybe what we could do is we could hang on out, have some lunch, and some dinner that night, and party on Sunday night again. And then Monday we go home feeling messed up, like a bunch of deviants who just didn't get enough sleep. That's the way it's going to work. I know Lynn Wallington's going. I know Dirty Filth is going. Number of members from our team will be there. And we want you guys to come too. The official announcement's coming soon, but make sure that you put it on your calendar for April 22nd and 24th on the Las Vegas Strip. We'll make sure it happens. The only thing that could really kill it is if they shut the borders down again, but I don't think so this time. Let's say a quick hello to my brother Eugene in Philly, or wherever you are right now, Eugene. I love you, man. No Name, welcome to our channel. Thank you for joining us. Tessa in Australia, looking lovely today. Thank you, or I should say tomorrow, because you're in tomorrow. Candy Romero, you can meet me in Vegas. Yes, you can. We're going to do that. All right? And everybody's going to be Chad Smith while we're there. So mark it on your calendar, April 22nd to 24th. I'll put it up here right now, right there. Thank you, Spooky Morales. Spooky Morales is going to be there. How you doing, buddy? This show's flown on by.
Yeah, as it always does.
Scott Myers wants you to remote view the Vegas thing, whether or not it'll happen.
Well, of course it will happen.
Mm-hmm.
In April? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, what I've already remote viewed and what I know of today is, and again, things could change because I hate removing in the future, but what's going to happen potentially is that the current variant that we're experiencing today will all make us realize that it doesn't really truly matter at the end how many vaccines or boosters we can get. We just have to live with it because it will become something of the norm, like a new form of flu. And as we know, that's pretty much what we're currently experiencing now. And it doesn't matter how many shots you get, you're going to be learning from that and evolving and living with it. And we'll have to live with that. And I think by April time, I see that as being part of the norm. And we're going to be seeing pills and various treatments that will be coming to the marketplace that will help save lives and basically, help us go back to what we consider to be normal.
All right,
without
buddy.
Living with the fear.
Swamp Dweller, how you doing, buddy? Here we go.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with Sebastien Martin, remote viewing. Sebastien, I got a question from our audience here right off the bat, because I'm interested in this too. And this one comes from The Killers, brand new to our chat room. What happens when you remote view a secret base like Area 51?
Well, like any other places I have, I have remote viewed a secret base in America that was hosting a bunch of aliens that were trapped in glass cases and the food was actually coming from the floor. Like for certain foods that they received was actually coming from the floor up. And all of these beings were prisoners. They were like trapped in those places. And they were obviously learning from them, but at the same time, it's hard to know if they will be used as guinea pigs for certain things, chopped up or whatever. But those beings were well and alive when I remote view them. So you can access a certain aspect of those bases. And Area 51, well, for what I know of that, is like it goes deep underground for, it has so many different levels that then again, that connects to other locations through like a tramway system kind of thing. And it's very vast. So whatever is on the surface has nothing to do with what's happening underground.
Can you get shut out from remote viewing there? Can they turn you off, whoever they are?
Can try, but it never worked. I mean, I would have expected some kind of level of, blocks, frequency, scramblers or whatever it is. But it doesn't seem like, to me, it seems like the remote viewing is not being affected by that. It's not being affected by a certain form of frequency because it's to do with consciousness and energy, and it's limitless. And so it has no boundaries. That's basically how it feels like.
Mad Magus wants to know, have you ever worked with police on missing persons cases?
No, I haven't. But I know a few people who have, and it's been very successful for them. You can look it up. You have many remote viewers or psychics. I don't think they really use remote viewing for that. They use like more psychics who can use like pendulums and locate people from maps and these kind of things. And yes, it's been very successful to some extent with some people. And to some extent, some other cases were not as good. Like I was involved with some missing persons cases to end up to be those people died, and it happened, and I saw them dead before they found them. But I was able to describe the events and the locations. But that's something I don't enjoy doing because it's just too morbid to me. I mean, if you see some child missing and you see that child dead, and it's not a pleasant sight. So this is not something I like to immerse myself into just for my own sanity. It's not nice. I just rather not deal with it.
All right, let's move on to another one from Mad Magus. How clear are the numerics when you remote view? How accurate are you in reading them?
What do you mean by the numerics?
I have no idea.
What does it mean? Numerics. Can you elaborate on that, maybe, Mad Magus?
I'll bring that back. Okay.
Okay.
Donna is asking, have you ever had someone see you back when remote viewing them?
Yes. That's what I'm saying. I did mention the white Draco reptilian that saw me. I can't confirm or validate that event only through the attacks I've experienced after the facts. But yes, that person saw me. That being saw me. Alia saw me too, but that was different because I remote viewed her from the past and had a very clear vision of that. And I was able to describe a vision of her, talking to her, that happened in the past. And that was very, very clear in my mind. And she saw me at the time, and I saw her. So I guess that is some kind of validation that occurred. Most of the subjects I was remote viewing were not aware that I was actually remote viewing them. And I know that the ethics would, believe that, you need to ask their consent to remote view them and to some extent, by respecting that, you can potentially get a better result, or at least it's more karmic or in line with the karmic laws. But it never bothered me at the time, because to me, this is not something that I was even aware of. I was just doing it because it worked. And so when I was seeing someone either dead or alive, I was able to tap into their consciousness regardless of the time. And I don't think that they were aware of me at the time. They may have been aware of me to some capacity, but I can't confirm that or know how. Yeah, that's pretty much what I could say about it.
All right. Mennonite Abe is asking, can you be harmed mentally or physically while remote viewing?
No, it never happened to me. But you can physically impact others while doing remote viewing. You can certainly use it for nefarious agendas, but I never dealt with that. But yes, you can influence. That's called remote influencing, and I'm not doing that. I never did that. Never tried to do that. Never felt like I had to. But yes, it is possible. But I've never been harmed myself mentally or physically while doing remote viewing. I was only attacked, let's say, after the events, not while doing it.
All right, let's get to another question here. And this one comes from No Justice, No Peace. Ethics are involved in remote viewing? Yes? No?
Well, like I said, ethically speaking, I think it's up to the subject. For me, I know that my views on remote viewings have changed over time, and I would rather ask for consent if that's the case. But in the past, I wasn't. And no, there was no ethics involved in remote viewing at the time when this was happening. And most of the people who did remote viewing never asked permissions to do it either.
Deloitte is the world's largest professional services network. And there's a reason for that. Consistency. But how does a giant global company provide consistency? Easy. With ServiceNow, they connect all 300,000 plus of their professionals on a single platform, the Now Platform. So whether someone works in Indonesia, Mexico, or any other of the 148 countries they operate in, ServiceNow helps Deloitte perform their work from a common and connected place. They can leverage the same powerful tools they need to adapt to changing markets and get the same proactive support they need to thrive. And with ServiceNow IT solutions, Deloitte can easily consolidate and scale their technology so professionals can access it wherever they are. So, how does Deloitte keep a consistently high standard for global clients? With ServiceNow, they can keep a consistently high standard for global professionals. Learn more at servicenow.com.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Wait a minute. I've heard that before. That's the note Jeremy wrote to me in my yearbook in the 6th grade. How'd you even know that?
Because it's from Geico.
Yeah, wait, here it is. Dear Luke, have a great summer. P.S. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. Love, Jeremy.
Geico's had this tagline for years, because we help save people money.
So wait, you're saying Jeremy copied you? Yeah, that actually does sound like something the J-Man would do.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
So, and it's still occurring today. It's ruthless in terms of what those people do today in terms of remote viewing, because they don't need to ask permission, especially if you, spy on someone that is from a different country. You don't ask permission. You just do it.
Yes. Okay. Because we all want to know where the giant mole is on Vladimir Putin's body when he's in the shower. That's for sure. That's for sure. Cherie wants to know, do you ever remote view ships that are hovering in our skies or orbiting the Earth?
Well, the one event I had, yes, twice actually. Yes, I did that twice, and it's because I was able to see them with my naked eyes, and I was able to look at them and remote view them while looking at them. And so I was able to transport my consciousness onto the crafts. and see the inside and see the occupants. That basically, to me, was pretty powerful when I was in, that was in 2013, I believe, 12 or 13, where I saw this craft basically close to the mountains I was living by, and I could see this huge craft that was cigar shaped, and it had lights on it, and they were basically just flashing one after the other, and then the craft at some point just rotated, and you could see one big light in the back of it. So that was very physical, and I was with someone else too. And while doing that, and witnessing that event with that other person, I was able to remote view the occupants of that craft, and believe it or not, those beings to me felt like Sasquatch beings.
Very, very interesting indeed. Magnus was asking about numbers. Can you view numbers? Can you see numbers? Many remote viewers have trouble seeing numbers.
Yeah, no, I never see numbers. I know that you can do remote viewing with coordinates, and those are numbers, but I don't know. No, I never see numbers. I never trying to go back to what I've remembered from my experiences in the past with no, I never had numbers involved. The only numbers close where I could think of is the amount of people involved that were relevant to the situation. So it was very basic in terms of numbers I was able to see. That was very clear to me. Like if I knew the X amount of people involved, it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that was clear. And I was able to describe all of them because they were all connected. So yes, that was something that I was able to do easily. But you see that if I could see numbers on the spreadsheets, no. There was a case where I had seen a piece of paper that was at the time in Arabic, and so I couldn't even understand the Arabic anyway, but I knew where this document came from because the document was linked to a person in power, in politics. So that financial statement was directly linked to that being, to that person. And I was not seeing that person when I saw that document, but as soon as I saw the document, I saw his face. So I was linking that document to him. That's how it worked. But I also knew it was a financial statement, not even seeing numbers on it. So that's interesting.
All right, let's get over to Brazelhoff here. Could remote viewing be used for medical uses like diagnosis or treatment?
Well, I do not believe that doctors will actually rely on remote viewing for that because it would be deemed too unreliable. I've used remote viewing for myself in terms of diagnosis, like in terms of nanotechnology I had within my body at the time when I got attacked in New York, but this was personal. And I had no way of testing for it or seeing it at the time, so I can't confirm it or validate it. But sure, I mean, remote viewing can be used for minor details in someone's body. I've used it. I've used it for people I know close by, like Scott, for example, Scott Myers. I was able to go straight into his body to feel his nerves and his muscles and everything else to be able to help him with the ailments he had at the time. And so I know that that's possible, yes.
Continuing with questions here. No Justice, No Peace, wondering, do people question you a lot or try to catch you up and trick you in regards to your remote viewing?
No, just simply because if they come to me with a genuine question or task, I will do it as seriously as they ask me. If it's something that is meaningful, I will know. If it's not meaningful, then it won't work because I won't see anything. If it's something to trick me, then it will make no sense and I will just not be interested in it. So I never had to be tricked by random people because I never got involved with remote, random people to do remote viewing. So, for me, it worked best with people I knew and people I was able to connect with. That's pretty much my experience.
Over in New Zealand, Witchy is asking, have you ever remote viewed beings on triangle-shaped craft?
I don't remember, but I don't think so. My first instinct on triangle-shaped crafts would be military. That's my experience of those. But I still know that's my first instinct is to tell you that this is probably military-based and not alien-based.
Kason in Sri Lanka is asking, when you are given coordinates, can you remote view what happened in the past in that location?
So first of all, I never work with coordinates. I work with pictures and people. Like I said before, there are different ways of doing remote viewing and accessing that level of consciousness. That's not what I trained to be. I never trained to do remote viewing. It just happened. It just happened to me, and I developed my skill by practicing and doing more of it. So again, halving what happened in the past in that location, yes, I was able to do that before. I was able to witness an event that happened in Jordan. And yes, I was able to see the event unfolding before my eyes in that location. And I could not influence it or change anything, but I was able to witness it and follow the people involved and provide more information to do with that case.
Peppa has an interesting question. Is the Akashic Records related to remote viewing?
No, but it is related to the collective consciousness. So what you have to realize, and again, you can remote view the Akashic Hall of Records and so on. In fact, most people who had near-death experiences go there and can go there. I've been there by doing an out-of-body experience, and it's not necessarily remote viewing, but it's close enough. And you can, what I understood from the Akashic Records and the Akashic Hall of Records is that it is not a physical place. It's a place that was built by the collective consciousness of those who wanted to access that location. So everything that people described about the Akashic Hall of Records is similar because it's a collective consciousness that built it. You know what I mean? So, of course, you want to go back to a place that seems familiar to you and where you feel comfortable and not scared. And it doesn't mean that the information itself is actually in that location, because it's not a true location. It's just an access point to energy or pure consciousness to do with your soul consciousness, and that's how you can access it, is through that kind of medium. Maybe I'm going too far on that topic, but yes, you could remote view the Akashic Records. I've seen mine. I've seen that space. I've been there. I walked through that space. To some extent, like I did a session with Paul Elder, who is also a remote viewer, who was actually part of the Stargate program and in charge of the Monroe Institute for Canada. And he had near-death experiences many times over and went there. And when I had my sessions with him, I was able to describe exactly what he experienced going there. Like, that's how he knew that my experience was genuine, is because I was able to describe exactly what he saw. And I actually went further, because when I was actually walking through the building, I was able to describe the grassy, fields down below. And I said, "Hey, did you see that through the columns? Like, were you able to see?" And I said, "No, I never had the opportunity of seeing that or further, but I understand what you mean." But the records themselves, what it looked like to me was very much like holographics, or it was not physical. It didn't look like an actual scroll or something that was tangible. It was definitely more energetic. It felt very different from the actual location itself. It was so vast, and the records were so limitless that it went forever. So that's what I can describe of my experience seeing the Akashic records and the Hall of Records.
All right, let's move on here. Let's see here. The Michael Leger. Mr. Martin, very formal, because we got 2 minutes left, so this will be our last question. Is there a base or a vortex between Salt Spring Island and Pender Island?
Yes, well, it's not just vortexes. There are vortexes all over Vancouver Island and Salt Spring and Pender Island, but what's really more interesting is tunnels that are going under the ocean that are linking the mainland with Vancouver Island through the venting tubes that you had from Mount Baker to certain lakes on Vancouver Island and Salt Spring Island too, that are used by aliens' crafts, because those venting tubes are so large that they actually created certain lakes on Vancouver Island, for example, like Lake Cowichan is one of them, and Shawinigan Lake is also another one. So in terms of vortexes, I've seen a few myself on the island, and I almost drove through one close to Duncan in the Cowichan Valley in BC, and I know they exist because I've seen one. But as to know what, if there's a vortex in between Salt Spring Island and Pender Island, like in the ocean, it's possible. I never had that experience myself, but it's not unlikely.
Well, my friend, I want to say a big thank you for you coming on Spaced Out Radio, Sebastien Martin. It is always a pleasure to have you on. We don't have you on enough. I will say that.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Dave.
Well,
I come back anytime.
That's what you always say, and then it's like 9 months, 10 months, a year. And here I am behind, and for the record, behind the scenes, I'm like, Sebastien, when are you going to come on, man? When are you going to come on? I can't. I have a date. I'm having coffee that night. I got to do my hair. I'm smoking a cigar. Oh man, you drive me crazy, but I love you, my friend.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate it.
Sebastien, Merry Christmas to you and your family. All the best over the holiday season. We will definitely talk to you soon. Coming up next, we have the Unbiased UFO Report with the fedora-wearing John Hudson. Shirky Poo has the news loaded up, and we got the thought of the day. Stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. Great show, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate the comments on YouTube about everybody. It's nice to see live. Like when we started doing those shows together, like I don't think I had the opportunity of seeing so many. Your show has grown so much since the beginning. It's it's incredible to witness. It really warms my heart to see that. It's nice.
I appreciate that. And behind the scenes, what a lot of people don't know is you have been a major supporter of what we do here. And when there's been tough times, rough times, or good times, I've always been able to count on you for a phone call, some advice, a pep talk. And I don't think people, even though, we don't talk once a week, once a month, I still think there's this real love and admiration as friends for each other. And I really do appreciate you, my friend.
I appreciate that too, Dave. Thank you.
Even though you dodge my show once every 9 months, so I'm teasing.
No, I know. I haven't been on any other show since, to be honest. Like I've been so busy and wrapped up in my life that it's been something I placed on the back burner. But I will do more of those for sure. I always enjoy them.
Yeah, me too, my friend. Me too. And I'm going to give you a call in the next day or two. I got some stuff I need to pass by you anyways.
Okay. Sounds great.
Buddy. All right, buddy. You take care, okay? Good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Good night.
Good night. Sebastien Martin, everybody. Sebastien Martin. There he goes. Love that guy. Love that guy. I want to smoke cigars with him. Yes, I do. Totally want to smoke cigars with him. And what do I got? Okay, I got Shirky Poo's news there. Got that. I know what I need to do here. Just waiting for the fedora-wearing John Hudson to join us. And that'll be any second here. Yeah, that was a fun interview. Fun interview. What the hell is this? Oh, there we go. We are waiting for the sexy-haired John Hudson. Thin Lizzie Borden. Shame. Teasing. All right, he'll be up in 2 minutes here. All right. Got that up. Ross Lambda, how you doing, man? I would love to see my brother Eugene in Vegas for the big party. Hard Rock is gone in Vegas. They just bought Treasure Island, I believe. Was it Treasure Island or the Mirage? One of the two. No, Treasure Island, I believe. No, Mirage. Polar Eclipse, how you doing, buddy? Hard Rock Hotel in Vegas. Hold on. Which one did they just buy? They just bought one. Hard Rock buys. The Mirage. Hard Rock International is buying the Mirage. Gorgeous Amy Vegas O. There she is, making her one comment appearance in our chat room, although she's been listening all night. She has. We love her. We love her around here. Yes, the Mirage they bought. I love the old Hard Rock. I wish they wouldn't have got rid of it. But that's just me. Bad business move. We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. We want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We are just waiting for the fedora-wearing John Hudson to get loaded up for another edition of the Unbiased UFO Report. But before we do, just want to remind you, to our listeners, that if you listen to us on YouTube, you will be able to check out shows by Lynn Wallington on Christmas night and on Sunday, Boxing Day here in Canada and in the UK. As she will go live those nights at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. There will be no after-hours show, as the after-hours crew is taking the weekend off to celebrate the Christmas weekend. We will also be broadcasting on Christmas Eve, because we do that around here. We do that. That's what we do.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Wait a minute. I've heard that before. That's the note Jeremy wrote to me in my yearbook in the 6th grade. How'd you even know that?
Because it's from Geico.
Yeah, wait, here it is. Dear Luke, have a great summer. P.S. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. Love, Jeremy.
Geico's had this tagline for years, because we help save people money.
So wait, you're saying Jeremy copied you? Yeah, that actually does sound like something the J-Man would do.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Hi, I've got a prescription for diabetes test strips. How much is the copay?
That could take me a while to calculate. In the meantime, you should think about over-the-counter Contour Next test strips. You get 35 for $19.99, and they're highly accurate. For full details, visit contournext.com/radio.
That's what we like. We got to keep going. Also, for all of our listeners out there, April 22nd to 24th, we're just in the planning stages of getting a Spaced Out Radio get-together. And we are going to make sure that we have just a grandiose time. And, you know, we're going to have a good time. It's not a conference. It's not a speaking engagement. It's about everybody coming on in and having a good time and just sharing in the woo for a weekend in one of the greatest cities in North America, in my opinion, in Las Vegas, Nevada. I will have more details on the website within the next couple of weeks. We're giving you lots of notice to save up your bucks like I am having to save, like anything, to make sure that we all have a good time. And if you are confirming that you are going to the Vegas get-together, we'll have a specific email for you guys that you guys can check on out. And you email us and you say, Dave, 100% I am going there. And guess what? We're going to bring you a swag bag. Because we want to make sure that everybody has a great time, and that if you show up and you let us know that you're coming, we want everybody to make sure that they go home with something cool and exciting. We bring in the fedora-wearing John Hudson. Here is the Unbiased UFO Report. Yes, John Hudson, the man, the myth, the sexy-haired legend underneath his fedora, joins us. Hey, you guys had a great weekend on the After Hours show, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, it was fun.
Good job.
Yep. No, it's a good idea. Good people. Yeah, we had a good time. Yep. Fun thing to talk about.
Are you growing a beard?
Well, you know, every once in a while, you know, you got to kind of reset your goatee because, you know, you can only trim for accuracy for so long. And every once you got to kind of reset, which means you got to kind of grow the beard out and then, you know, redraw the lines of demarcation and so forth.
I hear you.
It's an elaborate process.
So in other words, you screwed up on trimming your beard and now you're having to do the full thing to recarve it.
Well, you screw up all the time, right? You screw up, you know, a couple times a year, and you can only make adaptions for so long before, you know, you start, you know, getting like, you know, kind of crooked, you know. So
I know, all too well. Familiar, right? I know, my friend. We've had a busy news section here over the last little bit regarding UFOs, and you know, this is why we bring you in here. And investigative journalist Ross Coulthard has teamed up with a really good friend of this show, Bryce Zabel, and they are starting a new
great voice
UFO podcast. Beautiful voice. But Bryce Zabel also has immaculate hair and a highly trimmed goatee. Highly trimmed, professionally.
Yes, yeah. Yeah. He almost exists to make all of us feel a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So what's going on there?
Yeah. So this is, so I have to admit, this one, I'm pleased. I was surprised. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be. There's certainly people out there like George Knapp who have, had a successful podcast. I honestly, I guess to me, I kind of, I don't know. To me, it's kind of like the analogy I would almost give is like when you see a someone who does movies take on a role in a sitcom. It's like, this is kind of like a more daily normal thing. And so it's just kind of like a surprising turn of events, I think, to me, just personally. But I'm very pleased because, I mean, you're talking about two gentlemen that are, by the very nature of their personalities, very well researched, very polished, and care tremendously about the quality of the product they produce. And so you combine those two together. You combine those two together on any topic. Pick it. I don't care. Pick the topic. It'd be a good team. For this topic, this is outstanding. I mean, this, and it's going to be a lot of fun to listen to. And it's kind of silly because it's like, my initial reaction was, oh, great, another podcast. But my understanding is that there's 2 episodes out already. I purposely didn't listen to one yet because I wanted to kind of talk about it without really biasing everyone one way or the other with how I felt about it. But I'm excited about it. I will admit that I am excited about listening to it, and I think it should be good. And my big question will be: is it just going to be like a temporary thing, or is it something that's going to go on for a while?
I think it's going to be a lot of information, and as this subject continues to morph, I really believe that these guys are going to be at the top of it. I really do. I mean, that is going to be one show that you have to really listen to. And it's going to be, it's not going to be a lot of woo, people. It's going to be a lot of hard information. That's interesting, Dave, because what you're alluding to is this idea that the two of them want to use this as a more dynamic and serviceable platform to deliver their research in chunks as they choose to deliver it. And so that to me says that this is almost their the hill they've decided to take. This is basically them saying, this is what we're going to fight on, and this is what we're going to stand up to. That's good stuff. Okay, you picked up this really weird photo of a B-2 bomber that looks translucent. What is this all about?
So, unfortunately, I have not been able to find the original, the person who originally found this. It was posted on Reddit, and it was through multiple redirected links and so forth. And basically, if you go to the coordinates. So these pictures are not the pictures that were posted by the people. These pictures are pictures I took from my version of Google Earth. And I even made a little movie of scanning around it 360 degrees. It doesn't have any volumetric information to it. As far as the map is concerned, it is flat across the corn. Okay. But it is clearly a B-2 in flight, and due to the nature of the B-2's height and its counterproductive measures, and the very fact that these satellites aren't looking for things like B-2s, and the fact that this is probably a conglomerate of multiple satellites, what you get is this very spooky, rather beautiful image. It's got a lot of beautiful rainbow to it. Image of this almost translucent B-2, but to me, it's very interesting because this is something that it's very obvious what it is. It's not like there's any question what it is, and but none of the algorithms that block this stuff out caught it, and that says to me that there's hope. To me, that's what this says. What that says to me is what this says to me is that there's hope. That somewhere on Google Earth there are some images that have yet to be found yet that might have a significant impact on what we're all working on.
If you Google Tech E blog, that's TECHE blog, you can actually see photos of this from 8 hours ago. This is incredible. I mean,
and if you go to Google Earth and you put in those coordinates, you can go there right now and look at it yourself. And I suggest you do so.
Now, how did you find this photo again?
It was just posted on Twitter.
That is incredible.
From some guy from Reddit. Yeah. And I was like, wow, man, that is astounding. And it's such a beautiful picture.
It is.
Now, my guess is, sorry, go ahead.
But it is scary, John. The fact that here we have a stealth bomber.
Mm-hmm.
And according to Michael Schratt, there's two different
heavily
types.
armed.
Heavily armed. There's two different types of B-2 bombers. Out of the 21 that were made, some of them are supposed to carry some very advanced top secret capabilities that makes them just a tad more advanced than the original B-2 bomber.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if this is what we caught here. Because
I don't. Yeah, I mean, it's that's interesting. What's interesting about that is that there are some capabilities of the B-2 that are not yet public, and there are some capabilities of the B-2 that are a teeny bit public, but not widely acknowledged. And even if you just consider the ones that are whispered about, some of them are pretty amazing. And so I wouldn't be surprised if some of what we caught here is what those sort of technologies look like when photographed from orbit, right? Like that's the artifact that you create in a camera when you take a photo of it. I also think the thing was moving pretty fast, and it was probably taken by multiple angles. So there's probably a lot of things going on here. But it was super cool that someone found this. And like I said, to me, it gives me hope that someone might find, something, not from this globe, flying around Google Earth at some point.
All right. Stanford University's Dr. Gary Dolan has been working with DNA and brain effects of extraterrestrial contactees. What's new on that part?
So it's not necessarily that there's anything drastically new, other than the fact that there's been a tremendous amount of debate going on, and Vallee's paper has come out, and Gary Nolan's been doing interviews and so forth, and so there's some new information from the point of view of those interviews coming out. But the main reason why I wanted to mention it again is because it's not the easiest topic to absorb. There's a lot of detail to it. It's a fairly deep topic to get into. It starts getting into some pretty specific areas about the brain and brain structure, and some of it is based on known data, and some of it is speculative, and you have to pay attention to where each side falls and so forth. And to me, it's just to me, it's just kind of amazing, what they're doing there. I mean, it's just Gary Nolan's just like a rock star. So it's to me, sorry, I lost my place here.
I think you fell in love with Gary Nolan in talking about him.
Yeah. No. I mean, now the thing, there's some big questions, right? There's some big questions. One of the big questions is that are these changes in the brain structure evident before, right? And they somehow attracted the attention of others, and that's why we see this correlation of contactees having this brain structure, or did somehow through contact experiences was somehow their brain structure somehow encouraged to develop differently to then facilitate easier acquisition and pickup later, or easier information delivery and retrieval later. And that's the problem, is we don't know. We don't have any cases of a kid who, we've been able to test and we've seen this structure in them, and then we've said, okay, well, go forward and live, and if you ever get abducted, come back and let us know, right? I mean, we don't have the ability to kind of measure in that direction, which is part of the problem, right? But I think that it's huge that we're finding physical correlations to contact experiences, lasting correlations. That's huge. The fact that there are similarities between this and Havana syndrome is very, very interesting, and I think a big foreshadowing for things to come as to what we're going to start to learn. And I think that there's also a completely flip side to all this research, which is that there's at least for some of us, there's growing hope that for the percentage of people that believe that they're having contact experiences that don't want to be having those contact experiences, that this is going to lead to the ability, hopefully, to finally stop them. And that's really what I'm hoping for.
Well, we will soon see. We will soon see. John, thank you for a great unbiased UFO report. We'll talk to you very soon, buddy.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Let's get to Shirky Poo's news. All right, Shirky Poo has us all set up here. Let's start off with a great article from The Hill. Over the last century, we have seen an exponential increase in the understanding of the physical universe. International observatories on Earth and in space have produced magnificent images spanning the full range from the small scale of black holes to the entire observable universe. Now, it's about UFOs. Almost overnight, UFOs have gained acceptance by the government and some in academia as worthy of scientific study. With this shift came a new label from the U.S. military, UAP. Now they are increasing the target of dedicated research, including Harvard University's Galileo project. So, how do they do this? They have to, number one, account for characteristics and performance of UAP that exceed known science or technology, including propulsion, aerodynamics, materials, sensors, countermeasures, weapons, electronics, and power generation. Two, provide the foundation for possible investments to replicate the advanced characteristics in the technology. Of course, it's all about money. Taken together, these UAP videos and assessments indicate capabilities that exist beyond our current understanding of science, technology, as well as engineering. However, this is a problem, especially when considered that the great scientific leap ahead made by those willing to go against the mainstream. An example from the field of oceanography was associated with the name of Dr. Robert Ballard. Known for finding the shipwreck of the Titanic, Ballard was widely regarded as a maverick and disdained as a publicity hound by career academics for his work with National Geographic. Notwithstanding, he made some of the most significant contributions to oceanography during his PhD research in the late 1970s. So is this going to happen with UFOs? Well, we really do not know. The good news is it's now being taken seriously. In another context, Jupiter's moon, Ganymede, might have been a planet. As the largest moon in our solar system, it is one of the most intriguing locations in the neighborhood, which is great because it just so happens that Jupiter probe Juno is now in the vicinity. On June 7th, 2021, Juno conducted a close flyby of the moon and recorded the moon's electromagnetic waves, electric and magnetic waves produced in the magnetosphere. When the frequency of those emissions is shifted into the audio range, the result is a wonderfully eerie sound of alien shrieks and howls. Yeah, the planet, or the moon, is talking. This soundtrack is so wild that it makes you feel as if you were riding along as Juno sails past Ganymede for the first time in more than 2 decades. If you listen closely to the audio, you can actually hear the abrupt change to higher frequencies around the midpoint of the recording, which represents it into a different region of Ganymede's magnetosphere. That can be found at sciencealert.com if you want to listen on in. A tiny book measuring just 5 millimeters on each side has surprised auctioneers in Brussels, selling for almost $4,800. Ehrenberg Auction said the book, which contains the Catholic Lord's Prayer, printed in Dutch, English, American English, French, German, and Spanish, and Swedish, was one of a few hundred published by the Gutenberg Museum in Mons, Germany in 1952 as a fundraising project to pay for post-war reconstruction efforts. Really, really cool. Let's get to the thought of the Dave. All right. Today's thought of the Dave. What are your thoughts on remote viewing? Mark, someone is always hiding our remotes just when your favorite TV show is about to come on. And where the hell did the remote go? I think we've all experienced that. Linda, to be very accurate. Joe, I used to remote view a woman that I didn't know, but then I lost my binoculars. Gail, if the person doing it has integrity, it's a cool thing. If not, it's a form of voyeurism and shameless behavior. Terrible. Kenneth, I think it's very possible. I like to say more, but I gotta run. John, as someone who has had an out-of-body experience like I did when I was 12, I very much believe remote viewing is possible. Lori, I'm kind of good at it. Cassie, I've tried so hard to do this. I think it's wonderful people can. Sparkles, I've remote viewed, so I know it's possible. Lee, with the final word, you tell me. Thank you to everybody in the Thought of the Dave, Shirky Poo for the news, John for the UFO report, and of course Sebastien Martin, our wonderful guest, talking remote viewing tonight. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Facebook, Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Have a good night. See ya.
Hi, welcome to your neighborhood pharmacy.
Hi, I've got a prescription for diabetes test strips. How much is the copay?
Well, it depends on your type of commercial insurance and factoring in your yearly spend, subtracting the deductibles, also depending on your monthly allowance.
Why can't there be a better option?
Or you could try Contour Next test strips. A 35 count's only $19.99 over the counter and proven to be highly accurate. Go to contournext.com/radio to see if over-the-counter strips are a more affordable option for you.
I think I'll try Contour Next.
Need a last-second gift? Rethink it. The best gifts don't come with a price tag, and you can't buy them online. Patagonia and the Dirtbag Diaries present a 4-part podcast series about unique gifts that change lives and bring people together outside. Give used, give back, give knowledge, and get inspired. Listen to The Best Gift on the Dirtbag Diaries podcast on Spotify.